This is unprecedented. Unacceptable.
A hierarch is dead, Commander.
His murderer was within our grasp. If you had not withdrawn our phantoms...
Are you questioning my decision?
No, Holy One. I only wish to express my concern that the brutes...
Recommissioning the Guard was a radical step. But recent events have made it abundantly clear that the elites can no longer guarantee our safety.
I shall relay your decision to the Council.
Politics, how tiresome. Do you know, Arbiter, the elites have threatened to resign, to quit the High Council, because of this exchange of hats?
We have always been your protectors.
These are trying times for all of us.
Even as the humans' annihilation filled us with satisfaction, the loss of one of the sacred rings racked our hearts with grief.
Putting aside our sorrow, we renewed our faith in the prophecy that other rings would be found, and see how our faith has been rewarded.
Halo, its divine wind will rush through the stars, propelling all who are worthy along the path to salvation.
But how to start this process? For ages we searched for one who might unlock the secrets of the rings. An oracle. And with your help we found it.
With appropriate humility, we plied the oracle with questions, and it, with clarity and grace, has shown us the key.
You will journey to the surface of the ring and retrieve this sacred icon. With it, we shall fulfill our promise.
Salvation for all.
And begin the great journey.
Once the shield is down, we will head straight to the library. I do not wish to keep the hierarchs waiting. The human that killed the Prophet of Regret. Who was it? Who do you think? The demon is here? Why? Looking for a little payback? Retrieving the icon is my only concern. Of course.
Don't worry, I won't leave you in uncomfortable silence too long. These little repair drones can actually hurt you, but no time to worry about that because we got real enemies. So, as you can see, the Sentinel Majors from Halo 1 are back. Those little white openings infinitely respawn Sentinels, but you can stop that by just destroying them, so I don't know if I call that true infinite spawning. Anyway, this is another part where I dual wield. So, on lower difficulties, you can open those pylons by hitting them, but on Legendary, a weird change, you have to shoot them in order to open them up. Just a mild way to make the level slightly harder, I guess. So, dual plasma rifles are actually really good for this part. There's actually a fresh pair I should have grabbed after destroying all the spawners, but I wasn't thinking. You know, I am a little rusty. I'm coming out off a couple days of not playing this game. This part's pretty easy, though. Like, there are Sentinel Majors here, but they're pretty rare. You're mostly fighting Sentinel Miners, and as you saw in the previous two Arbiter levels, not really a big deal. This level starts off pretty slow and easy, but it gets a little bit more hectic later on. Now, there's actually a grunt in the initial room. That's who the Sentinels were firing on at first, but he dies very quickly.
Savior! Stupid jackal, say thank you.
Yep. Speaking of jackals, this is the only level in the entire series where you have a friendly jackal helping you out. Sadly, there's not much point in keeping your allies alive here. Even if you do manage it, they'll die very quickly. Now, what I'm doing here, your carbine in this level actually starts a little bit overfilled, but if you see one on the ground, you want to pick it up because it's actually even more overfilled. For whatever reason. I think it's unintentional glitch, maybe. Either way, just something to keep in mind. You're going to want that carbine for later, that's all I'll say. If you wanted to, you could totally go.
One of the shield generators. Many of my brutes have fallen attempting to take it down. Let's see if you fare better.
Back there was a corpse of a brute, which is going to be... You know, that's something we haven't really seen in gameplay yet. Only in cutscenes. But yeah, it's been alluded to a few times. Those monkey dudes are called brutes. But anyway, as I was saying, you're going to want that carbine for later. Yeah, it's very difficult to keep your allies alive in this level, and they don't really help that much. I guess I would say, if you really care, you'd want to give them plasma rifles. They'll make good use of them and to keep themselves alive. The main thing is they have trouble following you down these pylon things. Probably not a huge surprise, but the AI just completely shuts down when it comes to like interacting with the pylons. So like even though they can,
Everything! Run away! Please! Don't make me go back!
oh yeah, if you destroy those spitters while a sentinel's near them, it'll briefly stun the sentinel.
Arbiter!
It's funny because his super combining that sentinel is what removed my shields. You know, I'd love to protect you, just don't strip my shield, please. Now I get into a tricky situation because I'm out of ammo here. So luckily they kind of float close together so I can accidentally EMP my own shields again. Although I don't think plasma grenades have the EMP effect in this game. And hey, another use for the sentinel beam. They're pretty good at opening those doors.
Overload the locks holding it in place.
Now, obviously the big scary thing he was talking about was one of those machines from the intro.
Attack and forces from the front, especially when their shields are up. Stay in the shadows. Wait till it loses interest. And strike the beast when it's back to serve.
Yep. So on Legendary, all those spitters are active, so you have to fight, well, pseudo-infinitely respawning sentinels while you're fighting the Sentinel Enforcer, as Tartarus said. But, little trick to this part, you actually don't have to fight any of the enemies, you just have to disengage the locks. You can do that easily from under the stairs. You actually don't have to fight any of the Enforcers in this level. And I have footage at the end of the video of me actually fighting one. They're not very interesting enemies. They're basically big HP sponges. They're kind of lame, sadly. They're not as cool as they look. There's some gameplay changes to them in the next level that make them more interesting, so I'll fight a lot more of them in the next level. Spoilers, this is another 2-part level. You can probably tell by the video length, to be honest, but yeah, just disengage the 4 locks. Don't worry about fighting the sentinels.
Release the power source. Now, find a way to remove it from its cradle.
Now, he says that, but all that means is you have to flip a switch in the middle of the platform. And as soon as you hit the switch, well, not as soon, but soon after. Yep, there's a big explosion. The Enforcer, any sentinels in the room, and all the sentinel spawners blow up, so you don't need to worry about fighting any of the enemies. Now, there was a dead brute, the plasma rifle. I definitely should have grabbed that plasma rifle in hindsight, but oh well. It's not a huge deal.
Our path to the library is clear. I'll pick you up on the ledge ahead.
This level has really good atmosphere, if nothing else. This is probably one of my least favorite levels in the series, to be honest, but
Left at machine. Make your own way through the wall, Arbiter.
And one reason for that is because you might be able to make them out hanging out on the ledges. Flood. Yep, this is secretly a flood level. And now, it might be a little tough to tell, but there's a new enemy type introduced here. Those golden sentinels, they shoot the blue beams. Those are called sentinel eliminators. A lot of people think these are the sentinel rangers, but nope, they're actually distinct ranks. There's the sentinel majors and the sentinel eliminators, which are stronger. You can actually use their blue sentinel beam, and it's unless I'm forgetting something, I believe that it's better than the normal sentinel beam in every way. It does more damage, it fires faster, I think. So yeah, if you are somebody who likes the sentinel beams, you'd want to grab the blue beam whenever possible. Now, the Flood. Yeah, speaking of new enemies, the human combat forms get introduced in this level. They'll differentiate them more from elite combat forms in the next level. The main thing is that human combat forms have gotten a big buff to their... Oh, as you saw, I just destroyed the Enforcer there with a plasma grenade because it was already weakened. Now, this section's a little weird. Basically, the Sentinels and the Flood will infinitely spawn and fight each other, but eventually, when you do enough damage to the Sentinel side, I think it's tied to killing the Enforcer. Eventually, that door will open, 4 Sentinel Eliminators will come out, and then you gotta hop through. If you stay in that room long enough, Sentinels and Flood will start fighting, but that's a very easy room to just run past. And you got a bunch of human combat forms. Now, human combat forms are much faster compared to elite combat forms and compared to Flood in Halo 1. Very annoying to deal with, especially because their weak point. Now, they have a weak point, including plasma grenades. No, but their weak point is it's in a very weird spot. It's not in their head and it's not in their chest. It's a weird spot on their neck, so it's a little hard to aim for, especially if you don't know where you're aiming. But still, precision weapons are actually the key to taking out human combat forms and elite combat forms in this level, at least. As you can tell by something I keep alluding to. Oh yeah, and I kind of ran out of weapons, so I have to use the shitty SMG. But it's good at opening up those door locks, at least. Now here we get the Halo 2 shotgun, and I thought this would be a pretty good showcase of...
the objective. We'll hold out as long as we can. Get off me! Suppressive fire! Suppressive fire!
It's a little hard to see, but you can actually see Marines over there getting slaughtered by the Flood. Kind of a rare thing, you know, Marines in the Arbiter level, but there you go. Yeah. Oh, by the way, Flood with shotguns are just as dangerous as they are in Halo 1, so that's something to be careful of. If you see a Flood with a shotgun, you want to take him out as soon as possible. But yeah, I thought this would be a good showcase of how garbage the Halo 2 shotgun is. I mean, look at this. Look at how ridiculously long it took me to kill 2 combat forms. And it's even worse in this game because remember, the infection forms, if they touch a down combat form, they revive it. And shotguns don't just like... Unlike the energy sword, shotguns don't splatter the Flood remains, so they still leave a body to be infected. It's very annoying. Basically, I'm gonna... Oh, yeah. There's my showcase of the shotgun forms being dangerous. But yeah, you're mostly gonna fight... Well, you're entirely going to fight human combat forms in this part. Once you hit that trigger, there's going to be another wave, including some Sentinels. Now, if you know where you're going, you can basically run through this entire level. Now, if I was playing this by myself, okay, this is going to sound like Cope again. I'm doing this to show how bad and ineffective the shotgun is in this game. If I was playing this by myself, I would grab a Sentinel, or like some kind of energy weapon, so I would have some means of countering the Sentinels, because as you probably have realized, yeah, kinetic weaponry is pretty bad against them. And you probably saw I got kind of a bad checkpoint there where I was cornered by a bunch of human weapons. It took me a little while to extricate myself from that checkpoint. But I eventually managed. Careful of the carrier forms. Now, if you see a battle rifle, a lot of these human combat forms will have battle rifles. You grab a battle rifle. I was being stubborn about sticking with the carbine. I don't know why. That's what I mean when I say take out the shotgun combat form. You don't need to kill them. You just need to shoot the shotgun out of their hands, which is very possible to do in Halo 2. Just something. Yeah. See how I'm hitting them a little bit in the shoulder. Yeah. So as it becomes very clear, the shotgun is not the answer to the Flood. The answer to the Flood in this game are the energy sword, if you have one, and a precision weapon, of which the battle rifle is the best one. Although the shotgun is at least good for taking out carrier forms. Yep. Kills them in one shot. But, you know, it's not like carrier forms in Halo 2 are particularly dangerous. So I stick with the shotgun for a little while, but eventually even I get tired. Eventually I'm like, okay, I think I've made my point that the Halo 2 shotgun sucks, and I swap it out for like my actual setup. But yeah, like I was saying, this is kind of like the library 2 in a way. You can totally just run through most of this level. This is where I stopped being stubborn about the carbine and finally picked up the battle rifle. But yeah, you can totally run through most of this level, but if maybe you're making a walkthrough video guide on YouTube, or maybe if you're not comfortable running past everything, you know, just take your time. You know, there's no rush. You're not timing yourself or anything. You know, who cares? Just trying to beat the game on Legendary, right? Doesn't matter. Also, shotgun's pretty good at opening those things. Now, as you can see, there's a Sentinel Enforcer and some Sentinel Eliminators fighting some Flood. This is another room that's really easy to run past. Down there's actually a rocket launcher in the platform below, but it only has 2 rockets in it, and there's not a refill for a very long time, so not really worth grabbing IMO. You might disagree. I could have ran past here, but I guess I thought grenades would be more effective. Flood, honestly, Flood, especially human combat forms, just aren't fun to fight. In Halo 2, that might be a little negative, but I don't know, they're just too tanky. Like you saw, the grenade did nothing to them. I prefer their iterations in Halo 1 and Halo 3, where there's more of them, but they're less tanky and they're easier to tear through. Halo 2 made them weirdly really tanky. Anyway, this section right here is probably the most difficult part of the level. Just this whole underground section with the green energy beam. There's 2 or 3 rooms to get here, and it's filled with human combat forms and eventually Sentinels, and eventually elite combat forms are gonna come down here too. Although, in this level at least, elite combat forms are actually less dangerous than their human counterpart. That's going to change in the next level very quickly. I keep alluding to it, so you might be wondering, what could they possibly do to make elite combat forms a nightmare to fight? Well, you'll see. Those of you who have played Halo 3, you probably already know, but I'll leave it a surprise for those who haven't. One thing I can give this level at least is that the atmosphere is unmatched. It's quite spooky. Sorry, I just can't get over how bad the Halo 2... Jesus, oh my god. It's so bad in this game. Alright, yeah. Don't worry, pretty soon is the point where I realize, I made my point about the shotgun, but yeah. So, you know, this is another part where you don't actually have to fight. You know, the Flood and the Sentinels will be more focused on each other. But yeah, as you can see, the battle rifle is the real anti-flood weapon. Yeah, so this is where things get a lot more hectic. There's some carrier forms, there's some sentinels, and then this is where the elite combat forms start to show up as well. So definitely now would be a good time to grab like some kind of energy beam weapon, since there's sentinels to deal with. And this is about where I decide, you know, enough is enough with the dumb, stupid shotgun. Or I think. No. I come over to the right first because there's it's a little less hectic over to the right. Yeah, as you can see, there's some sentinel majors down here as well. Yeah. So yeah, I try and go ahead with the shotgun, but then I decide, you know, after 5 deaths, enough's enough. Let's just go with a battle rifle and an energy weapon, like the one that this guy has. And you can see how much easier this is. Yeah, just don't. I guess my advice for this level would be, despite what Halo 1 would teach you, don't pick up the shotgun, just go with like a plasma rifle or a sentinel beam and a battle rifle. Or a carbine. And then the level just immediately...
Negative, ma'am. They are not Covenant. Cover that doorway!
You know, considering that I'm using a headshot weapon and a plasma weapon to fight them, they are kind of... they're more like Covenant. I think they're okay. I'll stop harping on how bad the shotgun is, because, you know, to be fair, the energy sword is very effective against them. It's just, you have to go through this entire part without an energy sword. It's kind of like in the 343 Guilty Spark, how on Legendary they don't give you a shotgun until very interval. Like, they make you just go with other weapons, Sentinel Major right there. Still kind of a rare enemy type in this game, but probably less rare, I guess. Because they're in this level and the next level. Alright, but once you get to this pylon, you're at the end of the difficult part of this level. The rest of this level is obvious. And that's because once you get to this little outdoor segment, there's no enemies here, so you can take a breather, but don't miss the energy sword. It's right here. But yeah, you know, stay here for as long as you'd like. There's a bunch of plasma weapons, sentinel beams, but I will say there's no sentinels for the rest of the level, so just take weapons that are good at fighting the flood, like the battle rifle and the energy sword. Although, if you're playing the original version of this game, or if you're planning to go directly into the next level, you might want to take some sentinel effective weapons, but if you do what I do and play segmented, just take flood effective weapons, because it's nothing but flood for the rest of the level. Now, this is a little tricky, but there's a ton of bodies on the ground. This room has infinitely respawning infection forms that will continually revive the combat forms on the ground unless you destroy them with your energy sword, and that's very fuel intensive of the energy sword, so I prefer to just run past that room. It's a little tricky, but if you get a sense of when the right time to book it is. Although even then I almost died. I kind of close, but I managed to. A lot of falling down holes in the ceiling. I always like that chapter title, 100,000 Years More. Oh, as you can see, yeah, Flood with a rocket launcher, those jerks are back. But the cool guys are also back. There's some elites coming in during this part to help you out, which is why this part's a lot easier. There's 2 elites on this side of the bridge, and then 3 elites that spawn on the other side. One of the elites that spawns on the other side of the bridge, he's bugged so that his shields don't work. He spawns in without any shields, so yeah, I think that's the guy. He basically just dies instantly. Like, if an infection form so much as touches him, he just dies. Oh. Watch out for that guy. Yeah. As you can see, Rocket Launcher Flood, a lot less, unlike the Shotgun Flood, they're a lot less dangerous in this game. I think it's just due to the Halo 2 AI. being kind of dumb. So yeah, you got a bunch of combat forms to fight, but you also have 4 elites helping you out since parts number 2. One of the elites has a carbine, which helps us. And this is where
Forerunners be praised, the Arbiter. This quarantine zone has been compromised. We must do what we can against the Flood. Our commander has landed further in. Let us join him.
Yep. So when the elite says that, you know, you can go further ahead, but on Legendary, there's going to be another little Flood roar, and a bunch of Flood will come out of the tunnel, so be careful. They're no big deal.
Brother, I will survive.
Alright, so when you're ready, go through the tunnel, and you'll be at the final part of the mission. So, there's going to be 2 more elites up here. You know, one, like they said, one of them is the commander. Not just any commander, but the Silver Spec Ops commander, Halfjaw, actually. Now, whenever you have a free moment, it's a good idea to destroy the bodies, because this is another one of Halo 2's iconic and classic holdout sections, where you're kind of stuck in a room against multiple waves of enemies. Now, this is where, so a trigger, you know, the Spec Ops Commander Halfjaw, or Batas Vadum, whatever you want to call him, he's supposed to talk to you. And it's supposed to start the next wave of Flood. I was a little confused. Yeah, as you can see, I'm very confused about why the next wave isn't triggering. I was wondering, like, why the dialogue wasn't progressing, and I get pretty desperate, you know. As you can tell by me immediately checking these holes, which ends up being the solution. I have had this happen to me before. I didn't see any Flood in those holes, so like Flood sometimes gets stuck in like the ledges on those holes, but I didn't see any of them initially, so I was very confused. I even went back to the previous area and destroyed all the combat forms on the ground. Ended up not being that, so I wasted some energy sword, but no big deal. Then eventually I come back to the new area, and I see the stupid human combat form. Yeah. For those of you who have played Halo 3, this happens a lot more in Halo 3, but yeah, it happens in this game sometimes too.
Arbiter, what are you doing here? Flood is upon us.
We must hold this camp until reinforcements.
Probably obvious by this point, but this holdout section is a lot longer on Legendary than it is on other difficulties, so you're in here for the long haul, but assuming that you're good at keeping your elites alive, you should have 5 normal elites and the Spec Ops Commander helping you out, and the Spec Ops Commander is completely invincible, so pretty easy. Now, I was kind of playing the level as intended, being a good sport, but one thing that you should do if you're playing this level on your own, you should destroy those plasma turrets, because, you know, they're pretty, not the plasma turrets, the shade turrets, because they're pretty worthless against the Flood. And for some reason, your elite allies just love to hop onto them, even though they'd be way more effective on foot. So you were playing this level, you'd want to destroy those shade turrets so your elites are like forced to be on foot, including, you know, the Spec Ops Commander, who's invincible and he has an energy sword. He's very effective against the Flood. But yeah, not really much to say in this part, just another Flood holdout section. I left that death in because I would fly in there. Woo! Okay. But don't worry, no more deaths for the rest of the even though I'm rusty. To be fair to myself, a lot of those deaths were because I wanted to showcase how bad the Halo 2 shotgun was, but you know, I won't make excuses. Definitely didn't play this level as good as I should have, but I did want to get the new episode out. Oh, I would have been so mad if I would actually put my elite button. Now, this is going to sound callous, but when you hear your Spec Ops Commander ally crying out in pain, that's actually a good thing, because that the infection forms are busy, you know, killing themselves on his energy shield. Speaking of energy, if you see a spare energy sword on the ground, you want to give like an excess one to your allies. That didn't really happen for me. I never really had a good moment to do that, but you can make this part easier if people want it. Remember what happened last time those boxes were around. Careful of the boxes, they will kill you. You know, Flood knocks them into you. And every time you hear that sound, that means another wave of Flood is coming, so something to keep in mind.
One of them! Nicely done.
Thank you, Elite. And when you hear the whirring of the Phantom's engines, you know, it's funny because when you play as Master Chief, usually that's a bad thing. But in this level, when you hear the Phantom engine, you'll know you're at the end. Just something. Yeah. So, I greeted a little bit here, but luckily it paid off. The Flood are kind of smarter in this game in some ways. They like lead you into ambushes a little bit. So, like when they back up like that, they're like backing you into a corner. So something to keep in mind. But if you have an energy sword, it's not the most effective thing. But yeah, the Phantom's here, so that's the end of the level. And because this was originally a two-part level, this one ends a little bit abruptly. Now, as you can see, I have a lot of bonus footage this time around. I did get the par score despite my 6 deaths, but to be fair, some of that time was because the Flood got stuck on the ledge. I would have gotten a higher score if it wasn't for that. But yeah, Sacred Icon, pretty easy level. You can run past most of it. That's why it's not like, I wouldn't call it the worst level, because you can run past a lot of it. But for those of you who don't care for bonus footage, I will see you in level 9, Quarantine Zone. Part 2 of this set of levels. This one is a lot harder and more substantial, so look forward to that. But for those of you who enjoy bonus footage, I included some this is only on normal difficulty, but I did include some footage of me fighting an Enforcer. They're really not that interesting on foot. Yeah, as you can see, on normal difficulty, it's just the Enforcer. Don't worry about Sentinels infinitely spawning. That is kind of a funny thing about this level. By the way, you want to shoot the legs on the Enforcer because the damage to the legs transfers over to the main body. Something to keep in mind. But yeah, once you get like underneath it and behind it, it really can't do anything to you, and it's really slow, and it's just a big dumb bullet sponge. Not really an interesting enemy to fight, but if you wanted to see me fight one on foot, here you go. It's kind of a strange thing they do. They introduce the Enforcer and the Eliminators in this level, but you don't really fight many of them in this level because you can run past a lot of those encounters. You mainly just fight Sentinel, Miners, and Majors again. You'll fight a lot more Eliminators and Enforcers than the next level. Now, here's a cool visual effect I wanted to show off. So when Arbiter shuts off the containment shield, when the door opens up, you can actually see the containment shield being pulled back in the sky. It's very cool. Ooh, it's getting sucked up. Aurora Borealis at this time of year on Delta Hay. No, I'm sorry. No, but it is a cool visual.
Proceed to the objective. We'll hold out as long as we can.
Now,
Get her off me!
wanted to give a better view of the humans fighting the Flood over there. You get a better view of it in the anniversary graphics. Fun fact, you can actually grenade jump over there and fight the Marines. That's the only way to fight the Marines as Arbiter. Originally, Bungie was planning for there to be a lot more human fighting, but they weren't able to implement it as well as they would have liked to. So that's why Arbiter mostly fights Covenant, or not Flood and sentinels and heretics and stuff. Anyway, now for where the terminal is. Pretty far into the level this time, but pretty easy to find. It's once you get to this first outdoor ledge area where the energy sword is. It'll be in here. I did want to quickly show off the view outside because it really is a nice vista, I will say. Definitely a nice looking level, that's for sure. But yeah, it's right over here. Ta-da! And then for some reason it like took a while to start. Like it didn't start the first time. There you go.
Our holy city was not always as it is, nor was the Covenant. At one time, it was only San Shayum and Sanghili, but as we grew, and new species were added to our number, radical steps had to be taken. Our first encounter with the Let Golo was an effort in futility. The blasphemous creatures had devoured a Forerunner orbital, shattering its remains into 1 trillion pieces. What was left became the Rings of Te. As no conventional methods could purge the rings of their infestation, we sent one of our most faithful, an Arbiter. For a full year, this Arbiter ventured across the surface of one of their moons, learning both their strengths and their weaknesses. It was there that we discovered the Let Golo's secret. Although some of their kind rightly bore the blame for the orbital's desecration, others had only devoured around the Forerunner materials. And with reasoning and much labor, these could be used to serve the Covenant. And by these means, the Great Arbiter had given us one of our most sought-after treasures, access to innumerable processing pathways of the mighty Forerunner Dreadnought, and to the many secrets it held.
If you want to know more about that three-eyed robot, I'd recommend reading the book Contact Harvest. Or you could stay tuned for my Halo 3 Let's Play, where that thing's role is elaborated on. Your choice, whichever you prefer, but either way, I'll see you all next time for Level 9, Quarantine Zone. Catch you then, hopefully.
Halo.